So, hello and welcome to Limitless You Talk with me, Katie, and I'm really excited about this today. I'm joined by Kevin Brown, Mine Master Scotland. That sounds such an empowering title. Um, Now, Kevin is known for being a mindset coach, but as he was just telling me before we started recording, recently sort of pivoted and given more of a focus on men. But before we come on to chatting about that and setting the scene of everything mindset, who are you, Kevin?
Oh wow! Depends who you ask. Yes, I'm Kevin Brown. I'm 46 from Irvine originally. Stayed in Coinning for a number of years now. Uh, my sort of dad. I mean, recently became a papa, husband. Um, my sort of roots have always been in Ayrshire. I I've been on a little bit of a journey myself, as I think everyone is in this life that you meet these days. Everyone's sort of trying to navigate their way from somewhere to somewhere. So I've been on a bit of a journey myself in terms of who I used to be and how I used to think to what I'm sort of doing now. The coaching and the stuff like that's not my full-time job. It's something that I passionately have always been into, and I went and invested a lot in myself to train up to be able to do that. I do that on the side of my job. By day, I'm a health and safety manager. Uh, but I've been working with people my whole life before, in a sort of previous industry, very, very early young days in social services and things like that. So the writing was on the wall that I was going to end up somewhere down the line, sort of working with people again. Um, yeah, I've been involved in quite a lot of kind of big movements in Ayrshire, being the founder of Fit Ayrshire Dads and then Fit Ayrshire Masses, which are two huge communities in Ayrshire. A lot of people don't know it was myself that sort of started both of them up with a vision that they would help a lot of men and women. Something I'm really, really proud of in terms of what both of those groups have achieved. And then, yeah, as you rightly said, latterly, sort of wanted to do something a little bit more, a bit deeper work, rather than sort of just on the surface, sort of Facebook group type thing where you're sort of helping the masses in different way. I wanted to be able to work with people in a much more intense, purposeful way that could help people um, in all sorts of different settings. Work with people and all different things. And then there's a bit about the seminars, which you've told me you knew about a previous one. I love doing the seminars. I love the power of verbal communication. I'm passionate about what you can do with that. And I've been doing some seminars as well, which has been fantastic. So that's been kind of snapshot version.
Certainly is. I didn't realise it was you that started the Ayrshire Dads because I'm only in Ardross near you, so I didn't realise. I feel as if, oh, this is exciting because I knew somebody had done it, but I
Yeah,
couldn't have put two and two together. So I've learned something. Ah, okay.
yeah, yeah.
So the word mindset. Now, yes, we could put specifically, and I could ask you about it, Neil, but mindset. Why is it important that we, as individuals, adapt a positive mindset in today's world? Because it's hard. We're known as the West is known as the negative part of the world. So why is it important for our mindsets to be positive?
Well, we could go so many different routes with that. Simplistic is best. I mean, why is a positive? People like sometimes I'm met with people that know me well and they're like, oh, here he comes with all this positive stuff. Well, here's the thing about that. Where did the negative stuff get you? I think that sums it up in a nutshell. When people say to me, maybe some of the lads, that are still stuck where they were, stuck how they were talking, how they were thinking and stuff like that. And they'll be like, oh, here he comes, where you go positive. And it's that, as you say, that West Coast mentality. My simple answer is where did the negative mindset get you? Where did that negative talk get you? It got you absolutely nowhere. It's proven over time that having a negative view about people only makes you hate people more. Having a negative view about your job only makes you hate your job more. It doesn't actually move you forward in any way. And I think having a positive mindset, is it easy? I think when you start to understand it a little bit better, and how thinking positively can allow you to achieve more, see more, say more, be seen more. Even like say for yourself, in terms of you understand way better than me around the powers of fitness and physical exercise and how that can breed a positive mindset. And therefore, when that breeds that positive mindset, you can just think so much more clearly about things. So I guess I'm a massive advocate of it, but I try to uh, shoot down these sort of naysayers that are like, oh, it's all everything positive. No, it's not everything positive. Sometimes everything's shite. And
Very shy.
and it's important that everyone gets that even the most positive people have bad days. But the difference between someone with a positive mindset is they can make sure that that day remains a day and it doesn't become a week and then a
Hmm.
month and then suddenly they're talking about how terrible a year they've had. Okay, well, what point did you decide maybe this isn't working? Maybe I need a change of tact because this negative mindset, negative dialogue is not helping me.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking that you're saying, where did the negativity get you? So really, what are you going to lose if you try being a bit more positive? What is it? What is there actually to lose?
That,
That's what I'm kind of thinking in the top of my head. They're
yeah,
like, well, what more have you got to lose? Probably nothing, and you might surprise yourself even.
yeah, that is that can you've kind of nailed it. So if I'm faced with someone in there, and usually like someone that's getting all gone off in one, about everything's crap, life's crap. I'm so unlucky and everything else. And I went, okay, so how's that working out for you? And they're like, what do you mean? I went, well, if everything's crap, that says I get it, I hear you. So how's that working out for you? Because that's what we've settled on. Well, I feel miserable. Well,
Hmm.
what do we do about that? So we've got two options here, and I guess that's always the case. It's you have if you think about a coin, it's got two sides, and I think a coin's a fantastic reframing. When sometimes when I coach with people, I make a point of giving them a coin and say this will be your tool that you're going to use at every opportunity. So um, when you find yourself in that mindset where everything's crap. And see that in itself's a language. That's a West Coast Scotland language of its own. Everything's crap. Everything. Well, no, everything. Well, what? Well, it's my boss. Okay, so your boss is crap. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. He's just on my back all the time. All the time. Well, no, all the time. Okay, when? Well, when he or she wants this. Okay, how often is that? Well, it could be once a week. All right. Well, so we
Yep.
went from everything's crap to
And
once
breaking
a
it
week,
down.
you
Yeah.
and the boss clash, and 9 times out of 10, it's something that you could have avoided by doing something or
It's,
by not doing something.
yeah. It's
And
amazing how you've just broken that down into that, because it's crap for anyone that's not West Coast Scotland. That means rubbish. We'll just paraphrase that. But it's we seem to grab on to like I remember I did a podcast episode. It was all about how we use that as a write off. We can write a day off because it's all crap, Kevin. But you've just explained to me and helped me work out that actually it was just my boss that was crap that day. But I've held on to that instead of
yeah,
trying to work through it.
and and also like if we stay in the context of what you're talking about, it was actually my boss's crap. Well, in actual fact, is we so everyone's dealt everyone's dealt hands, everyone's dealt bad hands, everyone's has to face difficult situations, but ultimately it's what do you do with that situation? How are you going to be fueled by that situation, and how are you going to be hindered by it? You know, but what we are talking about there in terms of that everything, I hate my life. Well,
Mm.
what do you hate about your life? Well, and then you can always drill a problem down. You'll be see, like, so for yourself or anyone else listening to this, you will consciously be able to identify this language pattern in people when after this, because you do a family member and they'll be like, oh, he's just always on at me, or they never listen. Well, do they never listen? When do they never listen? Well, when they tell me to do this, okay. So when does that happen? How do you? And every single time I've found, without exception, you can bring. I always say, if someone comes in with a problem, the problem resembles Mount Everest. And by the time you get to actually allow them, because it's no what you do, it's not what I do, sorry, that's the art, it's what they do. And it's what they've been doing has created this huge issue in their head. And it's what you allow them to then do that then diminishes that, it not diminishes it, it brings it down and down and
Mm.
down and down before it looks like a molehill. And you
Yeah.
go, look what you did with that. And they're like, I how well, and you're like, yeah, yeah, let that run, let it run, because for so long you think this was an unpassable, immovable object, when in actual fact it was never as big as what you actually believed in the first place. And I think that is part of this positive mindset. It's being able to look at things and go, is this really as bad as I think?
Think. Hmm.
Because the mind the mind plays terrible tricks on us, and most of the time it does it to keep us safe. That's the purpose of it. Until it has evidence of something else, it does it to keep us safe, and it usually does that in a sort of negative bias way. Um, you know, don't go in there; they'll all be talking about you. So, well,
Hmm.
the only your mind's doing that because some point in your life you've maybe seen something or heard something that tells you that in a situation like that, that's what people will do. But in actual fact, there's absolutely no evidence of that. And you'll take the coin at that point would be, well, what if they don't? Well, if they don't, I'm going to have a fucking fantastic time. Pardon the pun.
No,
I'm
but
going to
that's
have a
what it is.
I'm
Yep.
going to have a fantastic time, and everything's going to be okay. And when I do that, I'm then going to have evidence that I was being totally ridiculous. And then the next time I've got some other issue that I believe I'm right and I'm missing out on something, or missing out, I'm limiting myself from it. I'm going to go, well, I was wrong the last time, so, and so on and so on and so on.
You're just proving that it's a constant, and to that, if you adapt a mindset or you're willing to invest in creating a better mindset for yourself, what are the benefits to your life and prioritizing that and the process to get to those benefits?
Well, oh, that's good. That's good. So the benefit, well, let's look at a negative mindset, because it's easy to work your way backwards. Rather
Hmm.
than me convince people of why you would have a positive mindset, it's come back to what we were talking about a minute ago. Well, how is what you're thinking and how is what you're feeling right now working out for you? How does it work out? How does it show up in the relationships that matter most? So if you are of a negative mindset, how do you show up with your partner? I'll go for, you don't want to talk to them, you are grumpy around them, you maybe avoid them, and so on and so on. How does it show up at work? Well, you're not performing as you would, as you should, as you're expected.
Hmm.
You're maybe isolating yourself away from colleagues that care. You are maybe yeah, you're just sort of surviving. You're no fully present. Your clients or whoever it is are no getting the best of you. And then how does that how does that feel inside? I mean, I know when I am not good, um, that weighs heavy on me. It weighs, I
Hmm.
feel it in my gut, I feel it in my shoulders. I don't feel my best. You may feel emotional. You may want to just the world just to shut the world out. That's the type of thing the negative stuff brings. So if you use inversion thinking, then well, how would I avoid that? Well, here's what I'll do. I won't try not to dwell on things. I'll look for the perspective on the situation that I believe is irreversible, which is always nonsense. Um, I'll have the conversation that with the person that I've maybe had a falling out with that I'm like, they now hate me, I now hate them, and I'll fix it, I'll find a way, I'll apologise, even if maybe I've played a lesser part in it, but I'll make it right.
Hmm.
And the reason I'm saying this is because all of these things will fix that thing that's causing you to feel so negative and so down or so low, and you'll be able to get out of that quicker. And you'll be so proud of yourself when you do that. Um, because when you feel positive, you're just a joy to be around. I mean, I know, I know for a fact if I'm being crabbit, I'm not going to be the best guy to be around. That's a fact. And people are going to see it a mile off. But when I'm good, I'd like to think that like other people who are good and they're in a positive place, they can light up a room, they can
Hmm.
give advice, they can be present, they show up for people that matter to them and stuff like that. And all of that takes work on the things that we've been talking about. It isn't just going to happen. You're just not going to go around life just, well, some people manage it and they are, I tip my hat to them because it's a beautiful thing that they can
I want to
achieve
know
that.
their secret. Yeah,
I
I
want to
want
know
to
their
know their
secret as
secret.
well.
Yeah,
Um, because I could do so much with that secret if I knew what it was.
yep, yep.
But generally, people will get curveballs. Generally, people will face challenges, and the danger is that you consume yourself in your thoughts. You convince yourself that you're right, that the world's going to end. With being a
Hmm.
bit extreme, but that's just some of the madness that we tell ourselves is unbelievably unfair. Unfair. Um, and if we can learn to stop that quicker, use the coin, flip that over, and say, well, what would be a different way of thinking? Because this feels like shit.
Hmm.
Yeah. Then we can get out of that quicker. We can get back into a positive mindset, and we can live a happier life. Because as human beings, I guess that is all we really want. Um, even the people who maybe say, no, I want this and I want that and I want this and I want that. Well, at the core of that, you probably want to be happy.
Yeah, I think that's for me. That's always like the foundation, like when you're as if you're building the house. But for me, so my two sides of the coin is when I don't feel good, I feel as if I'm in a boxing ring. I had to do visualization when I was at therapy, and it was right. You're in a boxing ring, but I was boxing myself, and the happy version or the positive version of myself is punching me, and they're, as if they're trying to knock me out, but I'm not strong enough to fight it back. So it was changing the narrative in mind of being able to fight back against my positive self to be like, no, I want to be what you're like. Kind of like what you see Olympians and things. You're like, oh, I'd love to be able to swim like them or whatever. So it's putting it in a context. But sometimes like I'm just thinking of me, for example, that sometimes I don't know why I'm feeling a bit low. It could be many different things that I've just not gave thought to or anything, but that sometimes that used to get me. That used to annoy me more because I
Uh,
didn't know, and I was like, just see if I could just. And it takes practice, but just to accept that you know what, whatever it is, I know you're there. But as you say, I'm just going to hold on today, and I'm not going to carry it over to the rest of the week.
well, do you know something? That's a really cool point because we're being quite specific about we're giving specific examples. Sometimes you just don't know why you feel that way. I can, I'm not running right this at this moment because I've got an injury, but I mean, sometimes I can get up in the morning. I know I've got a run to do, um, but my mind might be a little bit heavy. I can't quite specifically put my finger on what it is. If I was to probably get it down in my journal or something like that, I could probably work it out. I could probably get to the root of it, but at that point, I couldn't really give a shit, right? I just know that
Yeah.
I know that I don't feel so good,
Hmm.
and I don't want to really do anything. I think at that moment, and I think you've just shared that you feel that, and there'll be so many other people will as well. You've got to do the thing that you know will make you feel better, even though you absolutely don't want to do it. So in that moment, I am I need to put those trainers on and I need to go out that door. I
Hmm.
need to face the thing that's hard, despite that feeling and no understanding where that feeling's coming from. Now, some people their go-to will be different things. Their go-to might be they meditate, they listen to a podcast, they go a walk, they go to the gym, they go a run, they speak to that special friend that always makes them laugh. Um, they play with the dog, whatever it is, you do the thing because there's nothing will kill that feeling dead more than being absolutely distracted by something more,
Hmm.
that has the opposite effect, and I found um, that has been really, really important. Even at the moment, like even though I'm not running, I make sure that I am walking, walking, walking.
Hmm.
See if you're out walking, I mean, you're just thinking differently. You're outside, first of all, so you're grounding better. Um, you're able to stick something on. I'll make a point of sticking something on that's got a particular subject that I want to listen to that's going to be good for me, or you know, it certainly won't be my morbid tunes that's going to compound
Yeah.
compound that I already don't feel
Feel
good.
good.
So
Yeah.
I'll associate that with I'll make a point of, or when I go on my walk, I'll have a phone call with somebody that I know will have time for a blether. And it
Hmm.
might be a blether about them, and that's okay because it's a distraction. It's breaking what we call breaking state. So if you're in a state of sadness, and if you've ever been to one of my seminars, you'll know I work with a thing called Key to the Kingdom. It's my crown jewel, in terms of forming mindset. In terms of you're always in a state of mind. This is me just dropping this little gem in.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So you're always in a state of mind. Your state of mind's formed by one or two things, and that's an event that happens or the environment you're in. So
Okay.
the environment means people you're around, places you're in, or things that you're
Hmm.
consuming, right? So it's events and environment that forms your state. Think of the last time you were in a really bad mood. Think of what put you in the bad mood. Think about where you were, who you were around, what happened. Okay?
Okay. Hmm.
When that state of mind is formed, this is what happens. Your language begins internal and external. It might be one or the other, or it might be both. I.e., if let's go back to the boss, because that's easy. So if I fall out with my boss, um, so that's the event,
Hmm.
trigger the state. The state might be frustration, anger. Okay. So what then happens is you move around the state triangle. This is what I call key to the kingdom. Because once you have this key, the kingdom unlocks. Once you know this, you cannot unknow it. It's a powerful, powerful tool. So when my state of frustration or anger forms, the language begins internally because I don't want to lose my job. And
Hmm.
internally, it's maybe you
Biting the tongue.
know
Yeah.
this, you know this
Hmm.
kind of things you would be saying. You're in a really foul mood, and you're probably maybe thinking something like, I'm leaving this job. I'm
I'm
sick of
never
this
coming
place.
back. I hate
I'm
him.
never
I hate
coming
her.
back. Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yep.
The next thing that happens is your physiology begins. It forms itself to match your state. So it could be sweating, it could be tension, it could be a headache forming. You could be like hood up, you can be scuffing your feet, stamping your feet. That's your physiology is matching that state of frustration and anger. And the last one of the three is actions and decisions. You may cancel the gym workout you've got with your mate. I'm just in I don't want to do it because I've had a really shit day at work the day I fell out with my boss. You may not make that dinner with your partner that you were going to make because you just, oh, I can't be bothered. No, no, it's not been made. And
Mm-hmm.
you may not be able to sit and do your kids' homework with them because you're too busy up sulking up the stairs, thinking, poor me, I hate my life, I hate my job. So if that state's formed and those three things are working with, imagine this glowing light going round the triangle. Language has been maintained, the physiology has been maintained, your actions, decisions. So you're in a shit state, shit language, shit physiology, shit actions and decisions. So here's the magic in this. If it's that easy to form a state, is it possible that it's that easy to break a state? Now,
Okay, yeah. Right.
so if I could form anger and frustration by an event or an environment, then I can form, well, what would we like to feel? Let's say joy, reflection, gratitude, so on. Now, how will I do that? Well, it's really, really simple. I need to be around the right people. I need to be in the right places, and I need the right things to be happening. Yeah. So that's when you then have to identify, well, what's my go-to items? What do I feel best? When am I at my best? When am I laughing? When am I joyful? When am I grateful? And for a lot of people, and that's it just seems to be what the world, what we're learning at a really fast rate. A lot of people, that is around physical exercise. Physical exercise, as you'll be well versed in, with the clients you work out with, it creates bloody good endorphins, a really, really sexy drug. And when that fills our body, we just don't think the same way.
No.
So the endorphins then mixes chemically nicely with the dopamine, and we're just suddenly, we're like, I had that, it was doing my head in. I was like, I don't know what was going on. Oh, who's this?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't you for earlier. Suddenly the problems changed. The reason the problems changed is because we changed our state.
And I'm just thinking there because I had a conversation not that long ago. If I put it in my context, so the gym, and I find it very much a place where I can go. Obviously, my other life as a funeral director can be very demanding at times, very stressful. And the gym for me is as soon as I walk in the door, I'm nothing but Katie with the headphones or Katie that I know a lot of the members and all the stuff. I'm just Katie.
Yep.
And to be able to action that, I'm just putting it in your context of the steps that you've just taken. Like, I was in a different gym for a while, cancelled that membership, and the gym that I'm in now is just sick. Like, obviously, in hindsight, you wish you'd done it quicker or sooner. But because adapting that mindset and actually trying to bring myself joy, okay, not every session is good,
No.
but the fact that I just go and do it, there's a sense of joy with those endorphins that are being released. And it's amazing how other people within that environment are exactly the same. Like, it's as if we can be, it's more normalized, I think is the word I'm probably looking for. It's more normalized about it of how, like, positive mindset and how shit action, shit this, shit that. We don't need to carry, it's like we carry it on our backs all the time. I mean, that
Yep.
is a heavy backpack to carry.
Yep. Yep. And it's what you've just done there. You've gave a great example. The state that you have to be in for your day job to the state that you can be in for your evening activity it's a brilliant way to break state and then reform state. So rather than, for example, you have a difficult day where a lot of really tough emotions going around and you're carrying a lot of that stuff, and and your language may then be, I don't know how much I can take of this. This has been really
Mm-hmm.
tough for me. Blah blah blah. Your physiology, you're kind of a bit bit beaten up. You're wearing that like, you can see it.
Yeah.
Katie, you all right? I just blah blah blah. Your physiology's matching it. Your action decisions. You know what? I need an early night. I can't face anything. You carry that to bed. You wake up the next morning. What happens? You're really lethargic. You're really slow. You're no feeling. You've continued that. You've not been
Mhm.
able to break state. So when Matt, if this was you saying this to me, this is what I'm feeling now, Kevin. This is what's going on. I'd be like, well, what are we going to do tonight? What are we absolutely going to make sure is non-negotiable that when we finish, we're going to make sure we do. Who are we going to link in with, or what are we going to do? What are we going to think about? How are we going to get stuff written down? And if we are going to get it written down, we're going to do it absolutely after we do the thing that makes us feel good. So that tough thing that we know is going to push us a little bit, it's going to get us out of our comfort zone, but in a really good way. It's going to create the right chemicals inside the body and the mind, and then we're maybe going to do a little bit of just getting things down on paper. I think people I wish more of the world understood how much, um,
Mhm.
like I always talk about people talk about no being in they're being in their own head and they don't want to be in their own head. Well, there's nothing wrong with being in your own head if you're in there with the right things round about you.
Yep.
If you're in there with ordering ideas and thoughts and beliefs, like then that's not a place to be, and we need to get the doors and windows all opened. But if we can be in there with the right sort of ideas and the right sort of reflections and being able to challenge my thoughts and beliefs, challenge them and go, do you know what? I'm aware that I'm suddenly in a bad mood, right? What's this about? Let's take a minute. And that's you. That's the madness of talking to yourself in a different way. Is saying, nah, this doesn't feel right for me. So I identify what that is, or that was maybe a conversation that didn't go the way I'd like it to have went. It was maybe a place I was in that I kind of knew I wasn't comfortable in, and I've put myself in there. So that's okay. I don't need to dwell on this. I know that I won't be back in that place,
Mhm.
and I'm okay with that because my boundaries, my minds, my headspace, that comes first. And on that note, that obviously brings a lot of potential challenges and changes for a person as well, because when you start to become aware of what forms your state badly,
Mhm.
negatively, you start to go, I'm going to have a bit less of that person. I'm going to have a bit less of that thing. It might mean that you're unfollowing things on social media. I mean, well, see, when I tell you that is part of your environment, what you consume. See,
Yes.
trying to get people to understand. And I'm like, I'll speak to somebody and they'll say, I'm just so wound up and I'm seeing this. And I'm like, why what, are you still following that? Listen to how that makes you feel. Why? Well,
Mhm.
I can't help it. That's
Well,
bullshit.
you can
That's
help it.
that.
You can help
So
it.
let's deal with that right now. Get your
Mhm.
phone out. Like get your phone
Get the
out,
phone out. Okay.
and then boom.
Yeah.
So and then you unfollow it.
Yeah.
It's simple. It takes 2 seconds, and then you're not going to see that thing that's really putting you. Like most people, they start their day off with this in their hand, and it's possibly the worst thing.
You can do.
Well, if you're following the right things and you go to the device for the right ways and you use it in the right way, then there's probably nothing wrong with that. I'm not this hippie that says otherwise. But you just got to make sure that the first thing that you open your eyes to is not something that you frustrates the shit out of you. And equally, if I let my phone go into dark mode quite early in the evening,
The same. Yeah.
and I don't go back near it because the last thing I am going to have affecting my sleep is something that's going to put me in a negative mindset. No
Yeah.
way.
I've started journaling. I set a timer for 9:15 at night. Started doing it earlier on this year, and best thing I've ever done. It's actually helped my sleep. So you don't need to do something big and extraordinary.
No.
As you said at the beginning, you said the word simplicity. You're just everything that we're talking about is simple things that we can do every day as individuals to help that. And when I was reading, my stalking habits here are coming out, but I read your 5 pillars that you use: movement, which we've explained connection, again, the environment's put herself in, honour, strength, and gratitude. And reading them all, you've got detail about each of them. But why those 5? Now that we've spoken about all that of things that we can do and how we can go through your process that you've given us, why are those the important 5 that will help develop the mindset?
Oh God. So yeah, the pillars have been back and forth in my mind for, I mean, this is taking me back. So this is what I class as the 5 pillars for men, because I was sort of starting to really sort of specifically look at men, but these pillars are applicable to anyone. I believe they're applicable to anyone.
I understood them. So for
Yeah,
anyone
yeah.
that does look in your social media or anything, I could relate them to my
Yeah.
specific journey. So I'm sure it's just, yeah, they can be for anyone.
So movement, I think we've touched quite a bit on that in terms of how we need to be moving. We can't be, stuck in quicksand sinking. We have to be moving. We have to be active. There's so much evidence that tells us it is one of the best things for us in the world.
Yeah.
Probably out with sleep. It's movement is so, so, so important. Movement for me has been a massive, massive change for me when I sort of started getting into running. And, now, even if, as I said, I mentioned, even now walking or going to the gym or things like that, it's really, really important. And it's such a pillar for me. And I believe as soon as anyone discovers moving more, they realise the benefits for it. Honour. So, well, I mean, there's a saying that I use that you need to have faith in your own word. So, I mean, so many of us are carrying around so much guilt and shame about our own word and how easily we drop it and how little distance it travels. It's really, really important that I think that we carry ourselves through life with a bit of honour. Um, I never always had honour. I wasn't always authentic. I probably wouldn't have been described in that way as a younger version of me. But I know I am now. I know I'm living an honourable life now. I know that there's honour in my word. There's honour in how I would, look after people that matter to me, that people can trust me to come and speak to me and things like that. Anyone who would say otherwise, well, they don't matter anyway, because the world's full of naysayers and full of people who the narrative will always be well, I remember him. Well, I don't,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't, I
Yeah.
don't remember him. So honour's really, really important for me. And again, I love that term, have faith in your own word. So
Yeah.
see if you say you're going to do something, you do it. And
Mm-hmm.
and because Jimmy Carr, who's probably my favourite person I've heard on a podcast, I've just become obsessed with hearing Jimmy Carr on podcasts, man. I love it.
He's so good.
He's
He's
got
so
stuff
good.
that,
Yep.
and he talks about who are you when no one's watching? And I was like, that's my pillar. That's what he means.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you can paint yourself out as the patron saint, or whatever. But see, if you throw litter out the window of your car when no one's there, that's who you are. That is who you are. Doesn't matter who you try and say. And for a long time, I think I was in conflict with that. I was still making wrong decisions and letting people down and things like that. And then when I started to make changes, I started to realise that having honour was such an important thing to me, those who mattered most. Um, Strength. So strength is interesting because people can look at it obviously two different ways, and you'll have read what I wrote about strength. So you can have physical strength. So how are you going to look after your physical strength to be stronger
life and life's challenges, and just to have a strong what I call your body, your vehicle. And to have a strong vehicle to carry you to move, carry you through this thing called life. It's really important. And that strength may take up all different things from weights to running to stretching to whatever it is. So the physical strength is important, but it doesn't go without the other, and which is the most important,
Important.
which is inner strength. And wow, I mean, this is a complex one because so many, again, going back to our original discussion, so many people don't identify this in themselves. And do you know something? See if somebody's listening to this at some point and they're going, I don't feel like I'm strong. Well, ask yourself, how long have you been battling with the things you've been battling? Tell me that's not strong.
Wow.
Because the people who give themselves such a rough time that I'm weak, I don't have any strength. Wow, the average Joe would love to have your strength, would love to be as strong as you. And when you reframe that, that's the coin again, you go, well, wait a minute. If I can deal with what I've dealt with for this long in this way, which is no right, then what could I actually deal with when I'm no thinking this way? How strong could I be? Could I be? I could be stronger for me, but I could be stronger for everybody around about me as well. And that's an important thing for people to be of service. People, they talk about, and I talk about it a lot. You can't pour from an empty glass, but we as human beings want to be of service to the people that matter most. If you've got a parent that's alive, you want to know that they're okay and you want to protect them. If you've got a kid, you want to be that protector. As men in particular, there's a strong archetype, the king, and then within the king, he wants to be the protector and all this. So you need to be strong, and have inner strength. You need to have wisdom as well, but the inner strength is all part of that. What did I cover? Connection's huge. Connection. Oh, like if we talk about this, I mean, this is. Why is that a pillar for men, first of all? Because so many men are dying, isolated, alone. They feel like they have no connection in the world. Women are generally better at making connections, sustaining connections, talking. It's one of many beautiful things that men could learn a lot from women on how to do. But for everybody, for men and women, connection, to have someone that you can talk to have someone you can have listen to you, really listen to you. I call it hold space for you. To shoot the shit with someone, whatever it is, grab
Yeah.
a coffee, just go for a walk. I was actually talking about this in another podcast, just like when I think about the conversations I have when I'm out a run with one of the boys, and we joke about how, I bet people wonder what we talk about when we're at these runs, and I bet it's not what they think we talk about, because it's real chat, it's checking in on each other,
Yeah.
and connection is so important. What did I say? Movement, connection,
Gratitude.
strength. Oh, save the best to last.
Gratitude.
Gratitude is. Let's just say this. You cannot have any other feeling when you are feeling grateful. So if you're feeling resentful, if you start to think about what you're grateful for, you can no longer feel resentful. You cannot do gratitude with anything else at the same time. Gratitude kills them all dead, because it's a shift in perspective, and your mind processes it in a way that it's not possible. So whenever you get a situation, I chose resentful because resentful is a good one. Jealousy is a good one. Because hey, the green-eyed monster lives within us all. We all get we feelings like, you see somebody, they've got something, and you go, and you feel like the words rolling out your mouth about why they shouldn't have it. And in actual fact, do you know, you should be, if you can flip that and you go, well, how's that making me feel? That's no how I want to feel. Actually, I wish them well. And you know what? I'm grateful that, one, I'm grateful that they're doing well, but grateful that I've also got the maturity and the perspective that I can say, I wish them well. I wish them well. You know what? Because I talk about people can have everything, but they might still they can be rich with things, but no wealthy in life. Because they lack in gratitude. Gratitude Gratitude comes in when you think about somebody who's done you wrong, someone that's making you, I've spoke with a lot of people that think a lot about parents and toxic parents and things like that, and I say, well, what have you got to be grateful about for say it's a mum or a dad, right? What have you got? Well, nothing. I hate them. I say, well, no, think about that. If I put a gun to your head and I says, tell me a couple of things that you've got to be grateful for. Think about that. And then with that work, you can then get folks saying, well, I'm grateful that they taught me how to be a better parent. Right, good. What else? Well, I'm grateful that, they've taught me how to treat people. Oh, brilliant. Right, what else? Well, I'm grateful that they met my mum or my dad and they brought me into this world. Fantastic. What else? Well, before you know it, they've gave you half a dozen things and you're like, well, how you feel now? Well, I don't, do you know what? I can't even be bothered. Well, that's absolutely fantastic because a second ago you were just full of so much anger and rage and resentment. And in actual fact, there's an awful lot to be grateful for that person. So gratitude is super important. For me now, I'm practicing gratitude for my injury. I'm injured. I was allowing it to really start to consume me. I was like, I'm so down, like about I can't race. I had a fantastic year this year, two big races, did really well. Stop, can't run. And I'm like, so the gremlin up there starting to go, everything's crap. I'm probably not going to race again, all this kind of stuff. Now I'm going, actually, I'm grateful for the time this has given me to reflect. I'm grateful for the time it's given me to do things like this, podcasts and stuff like that. I'm grateful for the opportunity to fix some biomechanical issues that I've been neglecting, that I've just got worse, and that's why I get injured. I'm grateful for the extra time it's gave me around people that matter to me. In actual fact, this injury's been a blessing. How quickly you can flip that and you can turn it into something beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's like following on from that simplistic. So I'm sitting here thinking, well, I'm so grateful for this conversation because without me reaching out and us connecting and me not realizing is the wrong word, but me connecting to what you do, what you talk about, what you share on social media, for example, that wouldn't get to have a conversation, or I wouldn't walk away from what I've read and think, oh, how does that apply to me?
Yep.
It does make you think, and it brings a wee smile to you because I always say, health and happiness should be, no matter how much money, if you don't have that, it's no, what is the point? And it brings it all back to life. And I want to ask you one final question. This is more for you because I think it follows on nicely for what you're grateful for. But Kevin, what are your superpowers? I love asking this question. I've been met with silence every time I've asked it because it's such a deep, deep question.
Oh, so yeah, right. So I guess I've been more aware of this in the last couple of years. So I've got dyscalculia, so I can't kind of calculate. I'm terrible with numbers. I have a total meltdown with anything like that, and I used to see that as a bit of a shield of limitation and how I'd somewhat and lack. But in the last couple of years, I've realised that in actual fact that was nonsense, you know. And in fact, where I lacked in one area, I had in a lot more. I had an abundance of something else, and I guess that would be the ability to use words. So I think if I was to give myself something, I would say my ability to use words in a an impactful way. I think the reason I say that and where I finally accepted that, because it's never easy to accept compliments and things. You know that, we all know that it's something that we doesn't come naturally to any of us. When I started the Fit Your Dads movement years ago, with a good friend of mine, Stephen Gilmer, who's no longer with us. You know, he was a huge character in Fit Your Dads. He was a fantastic man, somebody I aspire to be more like. I
Mhm.
remember him telling me when I was pushing out like videos and I was talking about things like mental health and stuff like that. It had never been done in Scotland. This is before you see all these things that
Wow.
exist now. No one was speaking out. There was before all the charities that exist just now, all the different things, all the mental health groups for men. None of that was a thing. So Fit Your Dads was the first one, and I was speaking out about things like mental health on live videos and things like that. And I remember saying to Stephen, do you know, I think I'm going to, I don't even know how this is landing. You know, I'm like, I must sound so stupid, you know, because you doubt yourself, because you
Mhm.
know, at that point, there wasn't a lot of feedback. And he was like, please never stop using the way that you use words, because you're impacting people, you're influencing change. He says, and that in itself is an absolute art. He says, no, a lot of people can do what you're doing. And ever since then, I've probably tried to use words, um, you know, in ways that can make a difference. Like when I go and do the seminars, I am absolutely terrified. People would go, no, no way. I am terrified. I'm sweating. I'm wound up. but the second I start to speak and speak truth and speak from the heart and values, then it almost feels right. This is what I'm supposed to do, and then it flows. So I think a long-winded answer there, but I think my superpower would be words and how I use them.
I think from coming on here and doing this for our conversation, I feel as if I know you as mindset. I'm going to call you Mindset Kevin. I'm going to give you the little dots, Mindset Kevin. I would say getting to have this conversation with you and being able to kind of follow you and the message that you're spreading, especially now that you're focusing more on men, I would say that's yes. I would just totally agree with that and say that that's a power in itself. And I think if together, if we're sending a message out, is just you know do what you deserve, to have that honor for yourself. Be grateful for who you are. Make a connection with environments or anyone that's a good influence on you. Move your body, move your mind, and then you'll find some inner strength. And that's using all your 5 pillars that you've helped create from your own experience. So, Kevin, thank you so much for sharing this conversation with me and sharing everything that you have. I've certainly taken a lot away from it, and I hope that others can too.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute joy and an honour to come on and get to chat about all this important stuff.